classic Ritu Kumar, who's also a master of her own. But we experimented much, much more, and we were unafraid to take risks because when we started, one of our mottos was we were never afraid.
Yes. And that's very obvious with the
We were
clothes.
never
Yeah.
afraid that we are making this, it's not going to sell, what's going to happen, you know? So we were unafraid. And I tell you, honestly, if you want to get anywhere in life for anything, you have to be unafraid.
Yeah, I agree.
Take risks.
And it's very easy to take a risk when you have cushioning, when you feel like, you have something to fall back on. But when it's all or nothing, that's what it was for you guys, right?
That's right. We started out with 50,000 rupees. 50,000 his mother gave and 50,000 my parents gave, and that's what we started with. And beyond that, we were broke. So taking a risk and then starting from scratch again was perfect. If it didn't work, it didn't work. But we were always positive. And like you said, that's the adventure of it was also that you could go back to nil and go back and revive yourself and come up with something else there.
I think that's when you believe in yourself. It's a combination of that, and it's a combination of young age also. Like
That's
when
true.
you're 20, you have this audacity and you feel like you have time to fail and restart again, right?
Yes, true.
But do you think it's
I think we
something-
still have it.
We still have it, no? Yeah. Some people just have it throughout.
Yeah.
Throughout.
You have to keep it going.
Yeah. You know what I found really interesting, Sandeep, and just correct me if I'm wrong. There were a lot of crafts practices, like I would say even the mirror work, and like a lot of them that were traditionally in Indian culture over history used, maybe not by the elite.
True.
Right? Like even the crushed,
Crushed material, yes,
the
yes.
crushed material. So it was used by Banjaras
Yeah.
and women of different economic backgrounds and cultures and clusters. And I find so interesting what you have done and you have contributed greatly towards is taking this craft, which was local to certain villages and only certain clusters, and you've refined it into luxury garments and a luxury language, right? And now everybody else is able to follow through, but you were the first to do that. That's super interesting. Did you think about that?
Yes, actually, when we started mirror work, it was done only in pockets of Gujarat, and actually Delhi got to see more of craft because they had all these emporiums. All the states had emporiums in Delhi.
Yeah.
On that Khadak Singh Marg, I still remember the child going there to get inspired because you'd see mirror work not as a skirt possibly, but as a cushion.
Yes.
You'd see it as a small little choli on Janpat. But like you said, literally worn by Banjaras, worn by tribes. And they used to come and be sold. And Abu and me just said, let's turn it around and say, head, let's give it a jacket and let's make it gold and silver. Let's use Zardozi on it. Get mirrors cut specially to size which are larger than the small mirrors that were being used. And that also they were being used in an array of colors because the beauty of our culture is that every zone, every state has got a wild imagination where color is concerned. So if you go to Rajasthan, it's got its own sense of color. And literally, like you said, when you see women just crossing roads, a village women crossing roads, they look so stylish, they look fantastic. And their skirts are crushed because they don't know how to iron them. And they have very big gheras, you know what I mean? And we also came upon crush just as a fluke because we had done this massive silk garment with about 30 meters of fabric. And it developed some huge stains from the machine while it was being tailored. So Abumi said, now what the hell do we do? It's too much. So we actually washed it ourselves and we just twisted it and kept it overnight. It was a silk garment. Now silk in India is always, when it's sold, it's always got a bit of starch in it. So when we rolled it up and kept it overnight, and next morning we got back to the workshop and saw it, unfurled it. It was crushed and it looked insanely fabulous. So that's how our crushed was born. Before that, Fortuny did a crush, and abroad, but that was all synthetic material. Ours was all pure material that we were crushing. And in Bengal, the men had a wonderful, there would be these extra long sleeve kurtas in cotton, and then they would starch it so heavily, and then they'd get like a bowl, a stainless steel bowl, and crush it, run it the opposite way, and they would crush their sleeves. That was the style of the Bengalis back then.
So the inspiration is endless.
The inspiration
right?
is endless. Yeah, India is the ultimate muse.
So, then I'm coming to today, then I think India is the ultimate muse and has been for people such as yourself and for people outside of India
Yes.
who've been using India as a muse since the beginning of time. What do you think India has left to give the world in terms of craft and textile, which hasn't already been touched upon or already been used to death? You know what I mean? What I'm sure we have, because it's endless, right?
It's endless.
The possibilities are endless of what we have, and our resources and our history of what we do is endless. So what are some of the things in craft that you feel like are still not as popularized or as used as much as a source for inspiration for the rest of the world yet?
So some things can be popularized, some things can't be. Like chicken curry that we do is only done by specific women. It's only Lucknow and around.
Right.
It does not even spread anywhere outside of UP that they do chicken curry. And it's done only by women. But now, of course, people are getting men to step into it. But the unfortunate time, we're living in a very unfortunate time, I must tell you, because all this handcraft is going to be dead in the next 20 years.
Why do you say that?
Because Surat has come and it's all computerized.
Some of them might be from Surat here.
But they all know how much machine and computer is doing. Chicken curry is being done by computer, and to somebody who's unaware of what is right and what is wrong. If I'm not aware, I will not know that this is not chicken curry. It's done by a computer. And guys who do know about computer and machine, the machines are doing everything today, including Zardozi. You and me will get foxed when you see pieces. Then you say, how the hell did it happen? So that's the bad side of fashion now. The time we are in, I hope the artisan can live. Even the Banarsi woven saris, the hand woven saris, are far and few. There's much more loom that's happening, and we love the Khadi revival that Marthan thing started, and we still work with Khadi clusters and do Khadi fabric. But when you go to an ordinary market, you get Khadi at quarter the price. And the best Khadi we've discovered at the Khadi Gram Udyogs all over India. If you go to the one in Lucknow, it's like a treasure trove. The cotton that they do is so fine, such a high count, that but it's more expensive than silk. Wow. But then nobody understands, why am I paying for cotton that price when I can get silk for that same price? And in the middle, we had gone through a rather unfortunate phase where everything came from China, whether it was chiffon, whether it was georgette, everything was coming from China. But fortunately now everything's been revived, in the sense Chamundi is still doing chiffon from Bengal, from the south. South is still doing lots of silks. The Madras checks have made a international thing. I think the Kanjivaram sari is something which is left to be discovered by the West as a textile to be used. But like I said, is the West really going to see the real stuff or not? Because even the West today is looking at commerce at the end of the day, and at the end of the day is, what are you selling at? Right. Fortunately, we are 40 years down, we're in a privileged position that we have a customer who understands our craft and who believes in our craft and comes to us for what we stand for, which is purity in a certain way. But we also have a brand now called Asal, by Abu Sandeep, which is mostly machine.
It's the need of the
It's the need of the hour. Also, a lot of people also come and tell us that, guys, you kept yourself so close for so many years, and if a larger audience wants to buy you, they can't afford you at the handcraft level. So we're doing some hand machine embroideries and all that.
Still keeping your brand
Just
ethos.
keeping our ethos.
Yeah.
alive.
I have a question then. So for your couture brand and the few other couturiers in India, which I can count on my fingers, who do use craft and who do everything handmade, do you think your audience of really pure luxury is large enough to keep that business going? How sustainable is it for the future? Because, like, for example, my mother and grandmother obviously know much more about craft than I do, right? I mean, I try and educate myself as much as possible, but most people in my generation don't know it as well.
You know most of it.
Yeah, but my daughter may not know as much as me, and you know what happens as time goes by, right? So do you think there's enough of a segment? I mean, I really hope there is, because there's nothing more beautiful than Indian handcrafted textile, right?
So 40 years ago when we started, money was changing hands in India. Right. There was a whole new generation of industrialists. There was a whole new generation of wealth that has been created. They were new rich, and they were called the nouveau rich. Right. They believed in craft. They believed in art. They believed every time there's a switch in wealth, creativity thrives. Really? Because in the sense, as somebody who not living in the past will say, oh, I'm ready to experiment with a new design of this sari. As being a purist, to say, no, I will wear my check sari the way it was, or my Banarsi has to be in this kind of format, right? So they encouraged us, they believed in us, they bought us, and that's how we could spread far and wide. Right. Today, again, 40 years down the line, there's a whole new generation of wealth. But now, unfortunately, thanks to Instagram and thanks to whatever else, we are over-aware. Everybody thinks they know everything without knowing anything. And they don't feel the need to educate themselves or to learn whatever's on Instagram is the truth and the only truth, and it's the word, which is not necessarily true. Right. So there's a shortcut to it. So now we are in a more difficult time, right, because even where education is concerned. So I suppose things are all changing around.
Right. So in that sense, back to your question, there is a 0.1% who still buys us and will continue to buy us. Yeah, and the population is so big that 0.1% is also a lot of people, and the prices are so high that it adds up.
No, but you have to keep these guys going. Yeah, we have to keep us going, and you have to keep the creative, and we have to keep these artisans going. They have to, otherwise, as it is, an artisan's son does not want to be an artisan any longer, because he says, there's so much I can do in computers, I can do something else as an office job. Well, it is a bit of a struggle, whatever. It is hard work. And it's intense work. It's tedious. Whereas you can get a cushy job and you see everybody. Our world is all changed, guys. We all live in a dream world today. We all dream.
But so having said that, I want to understand, in 40 years, you need to keep, your brand is still as relevant today as it was when you came with onto the market and, disrupted the whole fashion industry or whatever industry there was, you created the industry. 40 years down the line, how have you managed to stay relevant, keeping craft at the center of what you do, since it always has been, but also being appealing to a new audience or the next generation? Like, what does one do to stay relevant as a couturier?
Yeah, so that's a very valid question. Abu and me constantly struggle, and we challenge each other constantly where design is concerned, about staying relevant, taking new risks, moving to new frontiers, reinterpreting what we've done as mirror work 40 years ago and keeping it relevant to today and changing it around. And we did, I must say honestly, about 20 years ago, we did go through a phase where we were bored and we became labeled as, middle-aged people's clothes. And that actually started disturbing us a lot, saying that, because we ourselves were middle-aged at that time. So it started disturbing us a lot that, the label has to extend to more people than the 5 people that we know and who always believe in us. So we went younger on silhouette. we started off as unsexy. Hero, he's just busy. We started off as unsexy, but then we started off as an unsexy brand. We were all covered up, so we just started getting more bolder. And I must tell you, in that, people who helped us and inspired us were people like Pernia. Number one, Sonam, because she was styling Sonam at that time. They were working best friends, and Sonam and Ria, who actually challenged the younger brand out of AJSK. So when Sonam wore that beautiful backless blouse at Cannes and almost a frontless blouse at Cannes, just an applique, it became a sensation. And we did a sari drape for her, which is insane. It was with lots of fruit, which the whole world is doing now. So like I must tell you, not so this thing, but I always believe if we start the trend, we don't follow them.
How does that make you feel, being a trendsetter in an industry even till today? I mean, there are brands that have launched completely thanks to you, only on your designs. There are businesses in Surat, etc., who probably just take your. He's very proudly nodding. People, yeah, who just take your entire fashion show and just machine version out the next day. How do you feel about that? That you're a trendsetter, people wait for your shows to come out, your celebrity sightings to come out.
That's true. It's actually very, very, very frustrating. Because you want to stay ahead of your own game, and then you see Surat reproducing in 24 hours. I mean, it's like what Zara used to do to all the brands abroad. I mean, at one time, a couple of years ago, as soon as the couture shows were over, within a month or 2 months, the street brands had all their styles out. Right.
So instead of flattering, it's only frustrating.
It's flattering, and I mean, flattery died a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because especially since now you have brand which exists on Jani Sandeep Khosla's DNA.
Exactly.
I mean, chicken curry is something that we revived entirely. I mean, she's not asking the question, but I'm just going on.
No, please go on. I'm so happy to hear you speak. Yeah.
But about 35 years ago, we went to Lucknow on Shatabdi one fine day because we love white on white. And my aunt was doing a bit of chicken curry at that time on cotton. But 35 years ago, there was just polyester, and they were just doing block prints of chicken, and they were just doing common chicken curry, the simplest stitch they could do. And it was actually girls used to take bunches of work home and work out of home. There were not even centers at that time. Very, very few centers. Seva is the first one which had revived, Laila Taibji and Seva. But the first one had started some kind of movement with chicken. Right. But in a cotton kind of, at least a pure cotton kind of space. But here we came as just disruptors again, and we went with loads of chiffon and told my aunt and her partner that now you're going to do chicken curry on chiffon. And she said, it's never been done, it can't be done. It'll be torn. So we said, listen, Abu and me are here. We are ready to take the risks. So you just go ahead and do it. It took us 2 years of experimenting before we came out with the collection. Wow. And we went to the printer who had hundreds and thousands of blocks which he had never used. And I must tell you, craft in India is, every craftsman is Muslim by nature. The craft is in their hands. I mean, whether it's inlay, whether it's wood, whether it's Zardozi, it's always, the karigar has always been, whether it's a weaver, all the master weavers, they're so gifted. Because I suppose it's come down generations or whatever. And chicken also was one such thing. And then we went and said, come on, let's start experimenting. And so 2 years of experiment, finally the first collection came out. The first, the women used to wear alta on their feet, and they had oil in their hair. And the older ladies were teaching the 20-year-olds to learn stitches. Because the chicken block writes the what has the stitch. A chicken block, when you print it, it's definitive of what stitch is going to come there. It can't be, it pretty much can't be disrupted. So that's how they read the block and they stitch the stitch. And so we used to get our first garments to get red stains on it, oil stains on it. Then it was a challenge to tell them that please can you stop applying this, because they would, and all these clothes, because they get printed with blue ink and then they get worked on for months, and then it goes to the Gomti to get bleached and washed. And the best thing was, after we launched our first collection, by the third year, the man at Gomti, the dhobi, was making $500 a photograph, because women from Delhi were going, taking pictures of dhobi ghat of Abu Sandeep chicken being dried.
Oh my God, really?
That's how they got to know about that, because the printer said that I will not print what I printed for you. Like I was telling about the printer, he had thousands of blocks he had never used. And so when we told Muhammad Ali that, we want to work these blocks, he said, of course, you work these blocks. So we started printing our first kurta. It took him 4 days to print a kurta. And at the end of it, he was joyous. He said, I have not done this in my life. And I've enjoyed it so much, because you've really taken and made me the artist I am meant to be. Right. And not be
what
a block.
His forefathers
what
were.
His forefathers were, what his father was, and not just be a block printer who's just printing one block per kurta. He was doing at least 20 blocks on a kurta. The border was separate, the madakal was separate, the third border was coming in, the neck was different, and the print, the basic body was different. So it has been an insane experience on all, whether it's all levels, and what a learning it's been for us, And then the icing on the cake was, we opened that exhibition in Delhi with just about 35 pieces, and anybody who walked into that exhibition, your mother, and bought. It was sold out in like 40 minutes.
Because there was such a sense of appreciation for the craft, right?
Yeah.
And also
design, the modernization.
And the design, and those women were so learned, right? Of that generation, of what went behind. They understood what went behind.
True.
In making this. I just have a question. Are there designers of the new generation? Are there people today who are working in craft who have the patience to sit somewhere for those many weeks, to experiment, to put money aside, to be like, this is my experimental budget, I don't mind losing it, to have the patience to see through, sit with craftsmen, create new things, go back to revival? Does anybody in the new generation of designers or the fashion industry have this kind of patience?
I think you guys are there. I can't say you don't have the patience, but I'm sure. But
because
patience,
I don't see anybody.
Everybody
I don't
wants
see anyone.
Immediate gratification.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be known immediately, and they really think that being on page 3 matters. It does not. It's your work that should matter.
Right.
And I don't think what you're saying, nobody has the patience to see a design through over 2 years. No,
right?
It's not.
And is it because the customer wants instant gratification? Is it because of that? I think maybe it's like a egg and chicken situation. Before, women of another generation, she didn't mind कि मैंने एक साड़ी का order दिया, 1 साल में आ जाएगी. Those women also lived in a different era, and they didn't mind. Up now, they're like, yeah, in 2 weeks I have a Sangeet and I need.
But nothing gets
XYZ.
done in 2 weeks, unfortunately.
You know
when it's
what I
hand,
mean? Yeah.
you can't do it in 2 weeks. And I must say, in the older generation, there were no stories to tell. They knew when you showed them something beautiful, they admired it, they loved it, they appreciated it. They would talk to you about how it came into being. But today, the generation is very happy to hear stories. So if I'm a great storyteller, I'm successful. I'm not a storyteller.
But you are. You think you're not, but you are. You're very
Okay,
entertaining.
40 years down, I'm entertaining. I'm a storyteller, but for 40 years, I've not told story. But now, that's the need of the day, I believe. The new generation wants to hear a story.
So
even if it's made in 2 weeks, it doesn't matter. As long as I can justify it with a story.
So you believe that? Absolutely. But are we so, is it because we don't want to do our own research? We just want to take what is told to us on face value? Like you said, everyone just believes any statement that goes up on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or if you ask ChatGPT, they say it, so you're like, okay, I'm good. Is that's the reason?
I think ChatGPT is going to ruin all our lives. Already we are so bloody lazy. Now design is also going to AI. And I want to tell everybody that design on AI is never real. Because what AI shows you as an image is almost impossible to reproduce.
Even by machine?
By machine, by hand, by whatever you want to do. When you see an AI image, it's so perfectly shadowed, it's so perfectly done, that when you make the piece, it does not compare. It doesn't compare even remotely. And now what's happening, Chat GPT and whatever, what is it, Claude?
Claude, yeah.
Oh my God, Claude, take a picture, Namrata, of us, and what are they doing? And Claude will be telling you, this is what Panya is talking about, what Sandeep is talking about without knowing anything. Claude will be telling you a whole history. At the back, there's some Jani, Sandeep was the fashion also, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, the other day we tried it at home, where there was some friend and we just took a picture.
Yeah.
And they said, these people look fairly bored, okay? But what is interesting is at the back, there's a beautiful pitchwai painting. There are these lovely brass masks. And so we plotted further and said, who could be the interior person? Which Indian person could be the interior decorator of this place? And it says, it's got, can you believe it, influences of Sabyasachi Mukherjee. And they said, and as an alternate, who else? They said, Jani Sandeep Khosla. Or it could be Vikram Goyal only because he does a lot of brass work. I mean, that is the kind of information bloody Claude has got. Which you and me, I don't have, you know.
Yeah, but that's why storytelling is important, because Claude only picks up what's already out there in the universe.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So if your stories are not out there, they will pick up whoever's story is out there.
So guys, just tape this and make sure the Claude knows what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So we become relevant.
Yeah, that's so true. That's hilarious. What gives you the maximum amount? Because I can see that in 40 years, you haven't lost the spark. You are still as interested. You're still reinventing yourself. You're still relevant, right? Those things are there. But in all of this, what gives you the most amount of joy in working with this brand? Or like, what still gives you the maximum joy?
Actually, the maximum
Because
joy.
I don't see fatigue here in any kind.
No, there's no.
Which happens to a lot of people 40 years in a business.
Yeah, 40 years together also, they could be fatigued. But we've survived ourselves also, and we've survived the business as well. But literally, I think because we are just very inquisitive people, and we still like to go to the markets, visit them, see what's happening around, and keep ourselves aware. And I must tell you, there's a bit of a secret to it. Abu and me love to hang around young people. And we have a lot of young friends coming over to our homes and also interacting with us, because it's so much nicer to meet younger people than meet people your same age, because then you're complaining. My shoulder's paining, so is my pain. My knee's paining, so is my knee paining. It can get very boring and monotonous. Yeah. So we keep our mind always alive. And this is something we learned from one of our early mentors. She was India's foremost socialite called Sunita Pitambar. She was in Bombay, based, and her father was Dr. Shirodkar, who was responsible for having Sophia Loren having a child. He had something called the Shirodkar stitch that he invented, and she delivered. And Sunita was his daughter, and she traveled all over the world, and she was the ultimate aware woman that we met. And we were in our 20s when we met her, and she was in her 60s and 50s. And she would just hang out with us and just owned us all around. And we would say, Sandeep, but what do you... She said, but guys, your minds are always ticking. And, after a certain age, you need ticking minds around you. And you have to keep challenging yourself and keep being interested in what's happening. And we do watch a lot of cinema, I must say. We do watch a lot of OTT and bakwas and good things, of course.
Do you get influenced? Do you take any influence from cinema for your work? I know you have
Originally,
muses.
yes.
I know you have muses.
Pakiza was a big influence in our life, in our clothes originally. Yeah. And Mughal Azam. Then we did Devdas, where we did the costumes for, which movies influenced so many designers. Exactly. And has produced
movie
so
is
many
iconic on a fashion, culture, craft level. I mean, for sure.
And, however successful it was as a film, it was even more successful as a fashion film.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
It's one of the the few fashion films. Then we did Veere the Wedding, which was the reinvention of Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla, of going younger, and being much more fun.
So do you think a film has been an important medium for your brand to even gain this level of success or longevity or this kind of impact you've had on pop culture? Has film really helped with that?
We've done very little film.
Yeah, but the one work you've done has a lot of impact,
So
right?
yeah, the one that we've done is created trends and has great impact, right? Of course, but we've stayed away from film purposely. It was also back in the day when we were starting off, we did a bit of film work for Madhuri, Rekha, everybody we worked with. But there used to be overnight, costumes were told to you 2 nights before that we're doing a song. 2 days later, which we need 7 costumes for. How, where, what, when. We don't care. And produce it. That's it. So it was not satisfying in that sense of the word. Our first movie we did was Khoon Bhari Mang with Sonu Walia. Back in the day. I mean, nobody must be knowing that film also now.
No, it's an iconic movie. It's an iconic movie, yeah.
But yes, film has always been an influence, and especially the older heroines have always been our influence. Meena Kumari, Madhubala, Vahida ji. All were classics.
Do you think in a way the film industry, definitely the design industry, you're ambassadors for Indian craft to the world? Do you take that responsibility? Do you feel that?
No, I don't think so now, because it's just at one time film used to influence fashion. Then during the 80s, after when people like us came around and a few others came around, then fashion started influencing films. Right. Earlier we used to borrow. There was Bhanu Athaiya and Mani Rabadi. There were a couple of film this thing, and they used to work in a certain setup. Right. And for the West, they always had inspiration from abroad. And so even the common fashion on the road was influenced by film. Everybody did the sadhana cut, everybody, whether it's Buffon, they followed that. But then came the designer era, which has started off maybe at Ritu, then started off with us. Us more prominently in the sense that we were disruptors, we were in your face, changing it around. And then film started getting influenced by fashion, by couture. Right. And you could see all those influences in works of lots of film stylists who worked. You could see lots of influences of what is happening in the fashion industry in India.
That's so true. Like you are so conscious of the fact that craft is at the core of what you do, no matter how much you experiment.
True.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you think that is the future of the fashion design industry? Do you think craft is going to be the center and the focus of what they do and they take everything from there, or no? Like we said, instant gratification ka zamana hai.
But I think craft, but wearable craft, most importantly. Just producing these fans and hoops and loops and God knows masks. They look like a student fashion show going on. It could be a fabulous NIFT finale. So I think we have to take craft seriously. Craft has to be taken seriously, not as a gimmick, but as a classic. Something forever.
Something which can be used.
Which can be used over generations. And that is one of our Abu and my biggest success has been when you go to a wedding and somebody comes to you and says, I'm wearing something which is 30 years old. I'm wearing something from your Mata Hari collection, which is almost 39 years ago. I came to your store when we were not even a brand then. And I bought something and I still have it in my wardrobe. And I fit into it today. Thanks to Munjaro.
No, I was actually going to touch upon this. How do you feel how do you feel when knowing that you're one of the few brands in India that actually gets passed on as heirlooms? You are the one brand that people keep and they restore and they keep so preciously for their daughters and granddaughters and they give at weddings. How does being an heirloom brand make you feel? Because there are very few of you that I guess enjoy this privilege in India that are really kept and passed on as heirlooms, right? That obviously has a lot to do with the quality and the craft as well.
Quality, I must tell you, at that time, the quality of whether it's the stitch of the thread or even the mal that used to get of Sardozi was so superior. Right. It stood the test of time. And of course, we are elated by the fact that we see such old pieces coming out, and we don't even have it in our archive, because our first 10 years of our life we were struggling, so we could not afford to make an archive for ourselves. So first 10 years of our life we don't have an archive of the work that we did.
Just the customers in
it's
your
just the
clothes.
Customers. So now literally we are opening our flagship store very soon in Mumbai, and that's got a whole archival space of about 5,000 square feet, just archival clothes. And we've just had little previews, and we've had people coming and saying, why don't you take my Ghagra? It's 30 years ago, old. So I said, okay, great. So let's have all these pre-loved garments. We'll get you to sign agreements with us that we'll return them back to you after using. So the archive will grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Because I'm going to take something from your mother's wardrobe.
I mean, I'm the one who wears everything, so I will give it to you. I'll be signing those papers. She doesn't even know when I stole it. That is so beautiful. So tell me about this flagship store, because like we were discussing earlier, it's in a heritage site, and I think it only makes so much sense for an iconic brand so craft centric like yours to be in a heritage location. It all kind of feels like it's coming together, and the fact that we can see your archives there, that's a big thing.
So you're going to see a large part of it's called Mubarak Bagh. Because, when the partition happened, my parents came from Pakistan. So my grandfather got a house in Kapurthala, where they moved to, and it was called Mubarak Manzil. And it had Chand and Atara on top. Because they exchanged homes and they came and occupied homes which were, people had moved out of. So we said, what an ode. We said, we have Mubarak is a beautiful word. And we said, let's keep it Mubarak Bagh. It's a place of fantasy. And I'd really request if any of you in Bombay, September onwards, please come and look at the store. It's, apart from the archive, it's just worth visiting this little utopia that we've created of our own.
Okay, now before we wrap this up, if you could define I know what the contribution is immense, or the sentiment or the contribution in one word or one sentence that Abu, Jani, Sandeep, Khosla have had on Indian craft and textile and culture in the last 40 years, what would be that to you? If someone asked you what was your contribution, what would you say? I'd
give the first credit to India, because she has been a constant source of information, of inspiration, and constantly inspires us. Any corner of India you go to which you've not been to earlier, you discover something new. Yeah. Whether it's food, whether it's craft, whether it's textile, you discover something new. Whether it's a flower or the way they do flowers, Yeah. So the first credit goes to India. The rest of the credit comes to entirely us. We have contributed a lot, and I would just say that I would tell everybody who gets inspired by us, there are no shortcuts in life. You have to do your own journey. You can be inspired by us today, but if you're getting inspired by us, do better than us. Don't settle at 50% of your AJSK. Go 120%, then I appreciate you. And that's an achievement then.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you so much.
As usual, so nice.
Thank you. I hope
chatting.
you guys enjoyed yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.